is it that after everything you did for her, she still walked away? You were kind. You were loyal. You gave her your time, your money, your heart. You thought love was built on sacrifice, patience, and consistency. But one day, she pulled back. One day, she chose someone else. And you sat there asking yourself, how could she leave after everything I gave? Here's the brutal truth nobody told you. Women don't fall in love with effort. They don't stay because of your sacrifices. They don't desire you for being the guy who's always there. Effort doesn't equal attraction. Impact does. Niccolo Machiavelli once wrote, "Men judge more by the eye than by the hand, because everyone can see you, but few can touch you." Translation: women don't fall for what you do. They fall for how you make them feel. And if you don't understand this, you'll keep repeating the same painful cycle. The more you give, the faster she loses interest. In this video, I'm going to expose 10 brutal truths about women. Truths most men don't want to hear. But once you see them clearly, you'll never be treated as replaceable again. If you're ready to stop being the man who gets left behind and start becoming the man she can't ignore, hit that subscribe button and join me on this journey. Men are raised to believe one thing: the harder you try, the more she'll love you. That logic works in school, it works in sports, it even works in business. But with women, it backfires. Women don't fall in love with effort. They fall in love with desire. Desire isn't logical. It's not measured by the number of texts you send, or how many gifts you buy, or how quickly you show up when she calls. Desire is emotional. It's raw. It's magnetic. You can give her the world, and she'll still feel nothing. But one man can walk into the room, say almost nothing, and she's hooked. Why? Because he brings presence, confidence, unpredictability. The nice guy works harder. The attractive man hits deeper. Remember this: effort doesn't equal attraction. Impact does. Most men believe women fall in love with the man who gives the most, the one who's always there, the one who answers every call, the one who solves every problem. That belief feels safe. It feels noble. It feels right. But here's the reality. Women don't fall for the man who gives the most. They fall for the man who makes them feel the most. This is the difference between presence and power. Presence is just being there. Power is how your presence moves her. The illusion of presence. You can spend every day by her side, drive her to work, text her good morning, plan her birthdays, do everything right, but she won't remember the details. She won't replay those moments in her head. She won't crave them at night. Because presence alone doesn't create emotional gravity. It creates routine. And routine feels flat. She knows exactly what to expect from you. And what's predictable becomes invisible. The truth is harsh. The man who gives everything often gets nothing. The pull of emotional power. Now picture the opposite. A man who isn't there all the time. A man who doesn't rush to fix every problem. A man who has his own rhythm, his own life, his own mission. When he's around her, she feels tension. She feels curiosity. She feels energy. He doesn't flood her with attention, but the little he gives has weight, because it's not constant. It's not free. It's measured. It's deliberate. It's magnetic. That's emotional power. It's not about how often you show up. It's about what happens when you do. The power dynamic. Here's a truth most men never face. Every relationship is a dance of power. Not power as in control, but emotional leverage. Who's leaning in? Who's pulling away? Who's wondering more? The man who gives endlessly hands over all his leverage. He makes himself predictable. He makes himself safe. He makes himself forgettable. But the man who knows how to create emotion, curiosity, anticipation, tension, he becomes unforgettable. Women don't consciously say this, but subconsciously, they crave it. They want the man who can stir something inside them, not just the man who shows up on time. Why men lose power? Why do men fail here? Because they confuse giving with loving. They confuse presence with connection. They confuse routine with romance. And deep down, they're afraid. Afraid of pulling back. Afraid of being misunderstood. Afraid of losing her. So they overcompensate. They give more. They text faster. They show up sooner. They offer without being asked. And with every gesture, they feel they're proving their worth. But in her eyes, they're just proving their dependence. Dependence isn't love, it's weakness. And weakness kills desire. The Stoic Edge. Marcus Aurelius never begged for recognition. He built himself from the inside out. Epictetus taught, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That's what emotional power really is. Self-mastery, not being dragged by her moods, not being enslaved by her validation, not performing for her approval. Emotional power is quiet. It's calm. It's the man who doesn't need to explain himself because his actions speak. It's the man who doesn't rush because he knows his pace. It's the man who doesn't flood her with presents because his life is full already. That energy is rare, and rare is attractive. Story contrast. Think about two men. The first man is always available. She texts. He replies instantly. She asks. He delivers. She vents. He listens for hours. He thinks he's proving love. But to her, it feels heavy. It feels needy. It feels like pressure. Now the second man. He shows interest, but not desperation. He engages, but he's not always accessible. He listens, but he doesn't let her dump chaos on him endlessly. He has boundaries. He has direction. He has balance. When he's with her, she feels awake. She feels alive. She feels uncertain in the best way. That man doesn't just offer presence. He offers power. The lesson. If you want to stand out, stop thinking more equals better. More effort doesn't equal more attraction. More presence doesn't equal more desire. What women crave is emotional impact. The memory that lingers. The energy that sticks. The tension that keeps her wondering. She doesn't want everything from you. She wants to feel something from you. And here's the truth. When she feels everything, she remembers nothing. When she feels less but deeper, she can't forget. So stop trying to be the man who's always there. Be the man who makes her feel when you're there. That's emotional power, and it beats presence every single time. Every man has heard the advice, be nice, be respectful, always be there for her. And most men follow it. They think being nice will win her heart. They think patience will eventually pay off. They think loyalty guarantees love. But here's the cold truth. Nice guys don't get chosen. Nice guys get used. Nice guys are the emotional spare tire. The trap of niceness. Picture this. There's a woman you like. She talks to you about her problems. She vents about her boyfriend. She tells you she's so tired of bad men, and you listen. You support. You give advice. You wait. In your mind, you're the safe choice. You believe one day she'll notice, wow, he's always been there. He's so sweet. He's the one I should be with. But she never does. Because to her, you're not the man she desires. You're the man she manages. You're the backup plan, the safety net. And here's the Machiavellian truth. People never love those who make themselves too easy to control. They respect the ones who keep leverage. The Machiavelli lens. Niccolo Machiavelli once said, "It is much safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." Now, don't mistake this for cruelty. He wasn't saying you should terrify women. He was saying love without respect is fragile. Love without leverage dies fast. The nice guy loves without edge. He gives without boundaries. He stays no matter what. And because of that, he loses respect. She might call him sweet. She might say, he's always there. But notice when she says it, usually while texting the man she actually desires. The man who challenges her. The man who doesn't fold. The man who doesn't orbit her life like a satellite. Machiavelli understood something men today ignore. Security without power isn't admired. It's tolerated. The story contrast. Let's take two men. The first man is the nice guy. She cancels plans. He says, it's okay. She ignores his texts. He double texts. She criticizes him. He apologizes. Every action screams, please don't leave. Please choose me. And she doesn't. Because she already knows he's not going anywhere. There's no risk in losing him. There's no challenge in keeping him. And without challenge, there is no attraction. Now, the second man. He's kind, yes. But he has standards. He has boundaries. He has direction. When she cancels last minute, he says, that doesn't work for me. When she ignores him, he doesn't chase. He invests in his own life. When she tests him, he holds his frame. And suddenly, she feels something. Curiosity, tension, respect. That's the man she thinks about when she's alone. That's the man she texts first when she wants attention. That's the man she can't control, so she desires him. Why nice guys fail? Nice guys think comfort equals love, but women don't crave comfort. They crave polarity. They want a man who can ground them, but also a man who can challenge them. They want kindness, but never spinelessness. The nice guy never pulls back, never says no, never risks her disapproval, and in doing so, he becomes invisible. Remember this: control is the death of attraction. When she feels she can control you, she stops craving you. This is why Machiavelli warned rulers not to be too generous. Men more quickly forget the death of their father than the loss of their inheritance. Applied here, she will forget your kindness, but she will never forget how you made her feel. The Stoic reinforcement Stoicism teaches, a man's peace cannot depend on others. Not on women, not on their moods, not on their recognition. The nice guy trades his peace for scraps of validation. He erases his standards hoping to be rewarded with love. But attraction doesn't work that way. She's not keeping score of your kindness. She's feeling your energy. And if that energy is needy, hesitant, approval-seeking, she checks out. The Stoic man, on the other hand, knows his worth is not negotiable. He doesn't beg. He doesn't perform. He doesn't give to be chosen. He gives because he's full. And that fullness creates gravity. The kind of gravity the nice guy never has. The lesson: being a good man isn't bad. But being a nice guy who avoids tension at all costs, that's emotional suicide. Because here's the law: the more predictable you are, the more invisible you become. The more replaceable you act, the faster she replaces you. She doesn't want a fan. She wants a force. She doesn't want a man who bends. She wants a man who stands. So stop being the safety net. Stop waiting to be chosen. Stop trading your standards for scraps of attention. Be the man who commands respect. Be the man who challenges her. Be the man who doesn't worship, but leads. Because in the end, she won't remember the man who was always there. She will remember the man she could never fully control. Final punch. Nice guys are safe, but safe is boring. Safe is forgettable. Safe is replaceable. The brutal truth: if you want to be unforgettable, you can't be her safety net. You have to be the man she can't stop thinking about. Every man likes to hear praise. Compliments feel good. Recognition feels good. We all want to be appreciated. But here's the brutal truth. The moment your sense of worth depends on her validation, you've already lost. The silent weakness. Think about it. You text her. and she doesn't reply right away. Your stomach twists. Your mind starts racing. Did I say something wrong? Is she mad? Is she losing interest? And what do? You double text. You over-explain. You chase her approval. That's not strength. That's weakness. And women can smell it instantly. When you need her words to feel like a man, you're telling her one thing: my value is negotiable. And the moment she sees that, the polarity shifts. She no longer looks up to you. She looks down on you. Machiavelli's lesson. Niccolo Machiavelli warned rulers about seeking approval from the people. He wrote, "He who seeks to be loved will always be at the mercy of those he seeks it from." Translation? The moment you beg for validation, you put yourself in chains. You give away your power. This is why kings maintained distance, why leaders refused to justify themselves, because the more you explain, the weaker you appear. And the same law applies in relationships. When you chase her reassurance, when you need her to constantly confirm she loves you, you hand her the crown. You stop being the man. You start being the performer, dancing for her applause, waiting for her to clap. And no woman respects the man who lives for her approval. The story. Contrast. Two men. The first one can't handle silence. She takes longer to reply, and he spirals. He sends paragraphs, apologizes for things he didn't do, asks, "Are you mad?" He's bleeding insecurity. He's showing he can't stand on his own. And slowly, she loses attraction. Because he's not her anchor. He's her pet. The second man? She pulls back. He stays centered. She tests him with distance. He doesn't flinch. She challenges his frame. He doesn't explain. He doesn't beg. Instead, he gives space. He holds silence. And when he speaks, it's calm, measured, intentional. Which man do you think she respects? Which one does she feel drawn to? Women don't crave a man who chases their validation. They crave a man who radiates validation from within. The Stoic frame Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Why? Because the opinions of others, including women, are not a stable foundation for peace. The Stoic man doesn't avoid emotion, but he refuses to be controlled by someone else's approval. He doesn't panic when she's cold. He doesn't shrink when she disapproves. He doesn't chase when she withholds attention. Instead, he holds his frame. He stays rooted. And that rootedness makes him powerful. Why validation kills attraction? Here's the paradox. The more you seek validation, the less you receive it. Because she sees through it. She feels it. It drains her respect. When you fish for compliments, do you still love me? Am I good enough? Are you mad? You're revealing a void inside you, and no one is attracted to a void. People are attracted to fullness, to presence, to certainty. Women want a man who's complete without their approval, because that's the man they can look up to. That's the man who makes them feel secure. But the man who constantly begs to be seen, he becomes exhausting, because now she feels she has to mother him. And desire doesn't survive motherhood. The Machiavelli reminder. Machiavelli warned rulers never to explain themselves too much. Why? Because the more you justify, the more you admit weakness. A prince who begs to be loved is ruled by his people. A man who begs for validation is ruled by his woman. In both cases, power is lost, respect is gone, attraction dies. The shift. So how do you break this? Start by noticing it. That hit of anxiety when she doesn't reply, that urge to over-explain when she misunderstands, that dip in your mood when she doesn't compliment you. Catch it, name it, and then don't act on it. Instead, ask yourself, What would the man I want to become do in this moment? Would he beg? Would he chase? Would he crumble? Or would he stay still, breathe, and move with intention? That's where your power lives. Not in her words, not in her attention, but in your own presence. The lesson: validation seeking is weakness, because it reveals dependency. It signals you can't hold yourself up. And women don't crave dependency, they crave strength. So stop looking at her to tell you you're a man. Stop outsourcing your worth. Stop chasing reassurance. You want respect? Stand without it. You want desire? Stop begging for it. Because here's the brutal truth. The less you seek validation, the more respect you command. And the more respect you command, the deeper the desire grows. Final punch. Validation won't make you strong. Her approval won't make you valuable. Her compliments won't make you a man. Only you can do that. Machiavelli was right. The man who seeks to be loved is ruled by those he seeks it from. So stop seeking. Stop begging. Stop waiting for permission to be powerful. Be the man who doesn't need validation, and you'll be the man she can't ignore. Every man has been told this. Just be consistent. Be dependable. Be steady. That's what women want. And on paper, it sounds right. In friendships, in business, in family, consistency builds trust. But in attraction, consistency alone kills desire. Because women don't crave predictability. They crave mystery. The predictable man. Let's start with the man who believes consistency is the answer. He texts every morning. Good morning, beautiful. He checks in every night. Good night. Sleep well. He plans dates on schedule. He compliments her constantly. He makes sure she never has to wonder what he feels. Sounds perfect, right? Safe, reliable, sweet. But here's the problem. She knows exactly what's coming. There's no suspense, no tension, no spark. It's like watching a movie after someone spoiled the ending. No matter how well it's acted, the thrill is gone. This is why so many men get blindsided. They think consistency proves value, but in reality, it erases tension, and tension is the oxygen of attraction. The mysterious man. Now, picture the opposite. He doesn't text every morning. He doesn't explain where he is every hour. He doesn't flood her with words. Instead, he moves at his own rhythm. Sometimes he responds quickly, sometimes later, sometimes not at all until the next day. When she's with him, he's fully present. But when he's gone, she wonders, what's he doing? Who's he with? What's on his mind? And in that wondering, attraction grows, because her imagination fills the silence. Her emotions start chasing. Her nervous system lights up. That's the power of mystery. It's not manipulation. It's magnetism. Why mystery works? Here's the paradox. Women don't want insecurity, but they do want uncertainty. The difference? Insecurity makes them feel unsafe. Uncertainty makes them feel alive. Predictability is comfortable. But comfort without polarity becomes boredom. And boredom is deadly. Because when a woman is bored, she starts looking elsewhere. Not always physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. The man who is mysterious keeps her hooked, not because he hides, not because he plays games, but because he refuses to overexpose himself. And people always value what isn't fully revealed. Machiavelli's lesson. Niccolò Machiavelli wrote, "It is not necessary for a prince to explain himself in all matters. What is unseen creates more reverence than what is explained." This applies directly to attraction. The more you explain your feelings, your plans, your intentions, the more you strip away mystery. The more you reveal your every thought, the less she feels the urge to discover you. Machiavelli understood perception is power, and power comes from restraint. The mysterious man knows this. He doesn't show all his cards. He lets curiosity work for him. He lets her imagination do the heavy lifting, because the less you reveal, the more she invests in figuring you out. The story contrast. 2 relationships. In the first, he is hyper-consistent. She knows exactly when he'll text. She knows exactly what he'll say. She knows exactly what he feels. At first, it feels comforting. But slowly, she starts feeling flat. She stops checking her phone as eagerly. She stops replaying his words in her head. She knows she already has him. In the second, the man is unpredictable. Not in a chaotic way, but in a magnetic way. She never quite knows what's coming. Sometimes he's deeply affectionate. Sometimes he's focused on his mission. Sometimes he disappears into his own world, only to return stronger. Every time she thinks she has him figured out, he shows a new side. And that keeps her engaged. That keeps her curious. That keeps her invested. Because attraction isn't built on comfort. It's built on curiosity. The Stoic edge. Stoicism teaches restraint, the discipline of silence, the power of holding back words, the art of speaking less, but meaning more. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." Notice, he didn't say, explain yourself constantly. He said, be. Show through presence, not endless words. That's mystery. That's magnetism. That's the frame women respect. The Stoic man doesn't perform for her attention. He doesn't overshare for her comfort. He doesn't give away his entire soul at once. He reveals slowly, deliberately, with weight. And that slow reveal makes him unforgettable. Why men resist mystery? Men resist mystery because they fear loss. They think, if I don't text her, she'll forget me. If I don't explain myself, she'll misinterpret me. If I don't stay consistent, she'll think I don't care. But the opposite is true. The more you flood her with presence, the less she values it. The more you explain, the less she listens. The more you chase consistency, the less she feels attraction. Mystery requires courage. It requires the courage to let her wonder, to let her sit in silence, to let her chase a little. And that courage is what separates the replaceable man from the unforgettable one. The lesson. Consistency builds trust. Mystery builds attraction. You need both. But when you give only consistency, you kill the spark. So stop thinking predictability equals love. Stop thinking availability equals security. She doesn't want to know everything. She wants to discover. She wants to feel anticipation. She wants to wonder, what's he thinking? What will he do next? That's what keeps her invested. That's what makes her desire grow. Remember this. Mystery isn't hiding. Mystery is holding. Holding back just enough to keep her leaning in. Final punch. Predictability makes you safe. Mystery makes you unforgettable. Machiavelli was right. What is unseen inspires more reverence than what is explained. So stop spoiling the movie of your life in the trailer. Stop handing over all your mystery on day one. Stop thinking consistency alone will win her. Be consistent in your values, but be mysterious in your presence. Because in the end, mystery beats consistency every single time. Most men think women want to be worshipped. They believe the more you praise her, the more she'll love you. They put her on a pedestal, treat her like a flawless goddess, and then wonder why she loses interest. Here's the brutal truth. Women don't want worship. They want challenge. Worship kills attraction. When you worship her, you're telling her, you're above me. I'm beneath you. You can do no wrong. At first, she enjoys the attention. But soon, it feels hollow. Because deep down, she doesn't want a fan. She wants a force. Fans clap. Forces shape. Fans follow. Forces lead. No woman respects a man she can dominate. And worship is domination in disguise. You surrender your power in exchange for her approval. But the more you surrender, the less she desires you. The challenge. Dynamic. Challenge doesn't mean arguing, nagging, or playing games. It means standing tall in your values. It means being able to say, "I don't agree," without fear. It means not bending every time she pushes. When you challenge her, you awaken her standards. You make her rise. You make her feel tension, curiosity, growth. And that's what keeps attraction alive. The man who always says yes becomes forgettable. The man who sometimes says no becomes unforgettable. Machiavelli's reminder. Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to be respected than loved, if you cannot be both. Respect creates lasting desire. Worship kills it. A prince who flatters his people loses control. A man who flatters his woman loses respect. Women may smile at compliments, but they crave the man who commands their respect. Because respect builds polarity, and polarity fuels attraction." The Stoic frame. The Stoic man doesn't idolize anyone, not even the woman he loves. He sees her clearly, flaws, brilliance, everything. And he doesn't lose himself in her beauty. That clarity is power, because when you see her fully, she respects you deeply. The lesson. Don't worship her. Challenge her. Not with cruelty, but with strength. Not with games, but with principles. Because worship makes you a servant. Challenge makes you a man. And here's the truth she'll never admit out loud. She doesn't dream of a man who praises everything she does. She dreams of the man who sees her clearly and still stands unshaken. There's a dangerous illusion many men fall for. They think, if she needs me, she'll stay. So they become the fixer, the rescuer, the emotional crutch. When she's down, he lifts her up. When she's broke, he pays. When she's chaotic, he stabilizes her. He feels important. He feels chosen. He feels wanted. But here's the brutal truth. Being needed is not the same as being wanted. The fixer trap. Imagine a man who meets a woman in crisis. She's heartbroken, broke, stressed. He becomes her savior. He's always on call. He sacrifices, solves, rescues. And for a while, she clings to him. She says, "I don't know what I'd do without you." But when her life stabilizes, she pulls back. She becomes distant. She doesn't need him anymore. And that's when he realizes she never truly wanted him. She just needed him. Need is survival. Desire is choice. And survival never turns into desire. The desired man. Now, contrast this with another man. He's not trying to be her rescuer. He's not bending himself into usefulness. He's not waiting for her weakness to feel valuable. Instead, he's grounded, focused on his mission, confident in his standards. When she comes to him, it's not because she needs him. It's because she wants him. Even when she's stable, even when she's strong, even when she doesn't need anyone. That's attraction. That's choice. That's power. Machiavelli's reminder. Machiavelli warned rulers never to be loved for convenience, because love born from necessity disappears when the necessity is gone. A prince who is only needed in crisis loses power in peace. A man who is only needed when she's broken loses value when she heals. Dependency isn't loyalty, it's survival. And survival fades. But desire? Desire stays when there's no reason. Desire chooses even when it doesn't have to. That's the difference. The Stoic lesson. Stoicism teaches, your worth cannot be borrowed from someone else's weakness. It must be built from within. When you tie your identity to being needed, you'll chase women in crisis. You'll seek brokenness to feel strong, and you'll confuse pity with attraction. But the Stoic man doesn't chase chaos to feel masculine. He stands like a mountain, solid whether she clings to him or not. She can come and go, need him or not. His value doesn't change. And paradoxically, that's exactly what makes her want him. The lesson, being needed makes you useful. Being wanted makes you unforgettable. So stop offering yourself as the solution. Stop bending into the role of savior. Stop confusing dependency with desire. Because when she doesn't need you anymore, and trust me, that day will come, she'll walk away. But when she wants you, for no reason other than who you are, that's when attraction is real. Remember this, need is about her lack. Want is about your presence. So be the man who doesn't need to be needed. Be the man who is chosen even when she's whole. That's the man she never forgets. Here's something no one told you growing up. The man who reacts the least often impacts the most. Most guys believe the opposite. They think if she's upset, they must jump in instantly. If she pulls away, they must chase harder. If she tests them, they must defend and explain. But the truth is this: every time you overreact, you hand her the remote control to your emotions. The reaction trap. Picture this. She gives you the silent treatment, and instantly, you panic. You text her over and over. Are you mad? Did I do something wrong? Talk to me. Or she flirts with another guy just to test you, and you explode. You yell, you confront, you demand answers. In both cases, you've lost. Not because she was right, but because she proved she could move you. She pushed a button and got a predictable reaction. And when you're predictable, you're powerless. The man of restraint. Now imagine the opposite. She pulls away. You don't chase. She tests you. You don't flinch. She waits for a reaction, and you give her calm silence. Suddenly, the energy shifts. She wonders, why isn't he reacting? Why can't I shake him? That's when she starts chasing. That's when her emotions wake up. Because women aren't attracted to men who get tossed around by every mood swing. They're drawn to men who stay grounded, no matter the storm. Machiavelli's angle. Machiavelli taught rulers, a prince who cannot control himself will be controlled by others. Apply that here. A man who reacts to every test, every silence, every mood, is ruled by her behavior. But the man who restrains his reaction, who observes before moving, who chooses silence instead of panic, that man holds the power. Restraint isn't weakness, it's strategy. Because silence creates weight, and weight creates impact. The Stoic edge. Stoicism calls this ataraxia, inner tranquility, the ability to remain unshaken even when provoked. The Stoic man knows not every comment deserves a reply. Not every test deserves a fight. Not every silence deserves panic. Sometimes the most powerful move is no move at all. Because in that stillness you show her, I am not controlled by you. I am not controlled by anyone. And that's exactly what makes her respect you. The lesson. Stop reacting. Stop chasing every mood. Stop explaining yourself just to ease tension. Because here's the brutal truth. The less you react, the more she feels. Your calm presence creates gravity. Your silence creates curiosity. Your restraint creates respect. And that respect fuels attraction. Final punch. When she knows exactly how to push your buttons, you're weak. When she realizes you have no buttons to push, you're dangerous. Machiavelli was right. Control yourself or be controlled. So next time she tests you, don't flinch. Don't overreact. Don't hand over your power. Stay calm. Stay silent. Stay grounded. Because less reaction isn't indifference. It's impact. And that impact makes you unforgettable. Here's a brutal truth most men never face. If she doesn't earn you, she won't value you. The easy man, Think about how most men operate. They meet a woman and instantly give everything. Their time, their attention, their energy, sometimes even their money. They put her first before themselves, before their mission, before their own self-respect. At first, she smiles. She says, "You're so sweet. No one's ever treated me like this." And the man thinks he's winning. But slowly, something shifts. Her excitement fades. Her texts get colder. Her desire drops. And he sits there confused. After everything I gave, why is she pulling away? The answer is simple. He gave before she earned. And people never treasure what comes too easily. Scarcity creates value. Machiavelli understood this. He wrote that rulers should never hand out favors too freely. Why? Because what's abundant is ignored. What's scarce is respected. The same law applies in relationships. When you give your presence, your attention, your commitment without any challenge, without her investing anything in return, you train her to devalue you. She subconsciously files you under available by default. And no one gets excited about what's available by default. Scarcity creates value. Abundance breeds boredom. The earned man. Now, contrast this with the man who makes her earn him, not by playing games, not by acting distant, but by living with standards. He doesn't give his time to just anyone. He doesn't hand out his attention freely. He doesn't commit without seeing effort matched. She has to show up. She has to invest. She has to meet his energy. And when she does, she values him deeply. Because she worked for it. She felt the cost of access, and we only treasure what costs us something. That's why casual flings fade so quickly. Easy access burns out fast. But earned access? That builds respect. And respect fuels lasting desire. The Stoic frame. Stoicism teaches, your value is not negotiable. It's not something you hand over, hoping others will recognize it. A Stoic man doesn't lower himself just to be accepted. He stands firm in who he is. If she meets him at that level, good. If not, he doesn't shrink. He moves forward. That self-respect is magnetic. Because when you respect yourself, others are forced to respect you. But when you undervalue yourself, others will too. The lesson. Stop giving by default. Stop offering everything on day one. Stop thinking love is earned by overgiving. Because here's the truth. She doesn't respect what she doesn't earn. She doesn't value what costs her nothing. You want her desire? Make her invest. You want her respect? Make her rise to meet your standards. You want her loyalty? Make her work for your presence, not through manipulation, not through mind games, but through principles, through discipline, through self-respect. Final punch. If she doesn't earn you, she won't value you. Machiavelli was right. Scarcity creates reverence. Abundance creates contempt. So don't be the man who gives everything away and wonders why she leaves. Be the man who knows his worth, who demands investment, who makes her earn his presence. Because in the end, a woman will never respect what she didn't have to fight for. Most men think love means attachment. They think, if I care deeply, I must react deeply. If I love, I must hold on tightly. But here's the brutal truth. The tighter you cling, the weaker you become. Attachment equals chains. Think about the men you know, maybe even yourself. She pulls away, and he collapses. She ignores his message, and he spirals. She says, "We need to talk," and his whole world stops. Every mood swing controls him. Every silence destroys him. Every ounce of attention, or lack of it, decides his peace. That's not love. That's slavery. When your emotions are chained to her behavior, you're not in control. You're not a leader. You're not even yourself. You've handed her the keys to your sanity. Detachment equals power. Now imagine the opposite. She pulls away, and you don't collapse. She ignores you, and you don't spiral. She tests you, and you stay calm. Not because you don't feel, but because you don't let feelings run your life. That's emotional detachment. It's not numbness. It's not coldness. It's power. The power to stay grounded while others drown in chaos. The power to hold your frame when everything shakes around you. The power to walk away when respect is gone. Detachment is your superpower. Because the man who can't be controlled emotionally can't be controlled at all. Machiavelli's reminder. Machiavelli wrote, "He who controls himself is harder to conquer than a city." That's what emotional detachment is. A fortress no one can breach. Not with silence, not with games, not even with love. Because your value doesn't rise and fall with her moods. It stays steady. And steady is magnetic. Women test men constantly, not because they're cruel, but because they want to feel your strength. If she can shake you, she can't respect you. If she can't shake you, she can't forget you. The Stoic edge. Stoicism has taught this for centuries. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Emotional detachment is self-mastery. It's the ability to observe without overreacting, to feel without being enslaved by feeling, to care without losing your center. The Stoic man can love a woman fully, but still walk away if respect dies. He can feel passion, but never beg for validation. He can give deeply, but never hand over his soul. That's why he's respected. That's why he's desired. Because women don't crave the man who clings. They crave the man who chooses. The awakening. Here's what most good men don't realize. The more emotionally hooked you are, the less attractive you become. She doesn't dream of a man who panics when she pulls back. She dreams of a man who stays calm, steady, unshaken. She doesn't fantasize about the man who reacts instantly. She fantasizes about the man who makes her wonder, what is he thinking? Why isn't he chasing? How can he stay so strong? That wonder is desire. And that desire is born from detachment. The lesson. So stop making her your emotional anchor. Stop outsourcing your worth to her attention. Stop believing her love defines your manhood. Detach, not from caring, but from clinging. Detach from the outcome. Detach from her mood. Detach from the need to be chosen. Because the moment you can stand without her approval is the moment she feels your power. Final punch. Emotional detachment is your throne. It's not a wall. It's not coldness. It's the foundation of unshakable masculinity. Machiavelli was right. Men who master themselves become untouchable. So don't hand your power to her moods. Don't let her silence break you. Don't let her attention define you. Stay calm, stay grounded, stay dangerous. Because the man who doesn't need to be needed, doesn't need to be chosen, doesn't need validation. That's the man she can't replace. That's the man she can't forget. That's the man who wins.
You've made it to the end. That tells me something about you. You're not here for shortcuts. You're not here for fake positivity. You're here because deep down, you know something's been off. You lived it. You gave your best. You stayed loyal. You sacrificed. And still, she left. That pain wasn't an accident. It was a lesson. Because attraction doesn't follow the rules you were taught. It doesn't reward effort. It doesn't honor blind loyalty. It doesn't care about how nice you are. It rewards strength. It rewards presence. It rewards the man who refuses to be controlled by anyone's approval. The 10 truths. That's why we went through these 10 brutal truths. Effort does not equal desire. Emotional power, presence. Nice guys equals safety net. Validation seeking equals weakness. Mystery, consistency. Women want challenge, not worship. Being needed does not equal being wanted. Less reaction equals more impact. If she doesn't earn you, she won't value you. Emotional detachment equals superpower. Together, they form a map, a path out of weakness, a path away from being replaceable, a path into becoming the man women can't ignore, can't control, can't forget. The Stoic and Machiavellian edge. The Stoics knew this centuries ago. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Machiavelli knew it too. Men are judged more by the eye than by the hand. Not by what you give, but by how you make them feel. The greatest men in history didn't beg for validation. They built themselves from within. They didn't worship anyone. They commanded respect. That's the edge you must reclaim. The challenge. So here's my challenge to you. Stop being the man who explains. Stop being the man who waits to be chosen. Stop being the man who confuses giving with attraction. Start being the man who commands respect. Start being the man who stays calm when others panic. Start being the man who doesn't need to be needed. Because when you stand in that frame, you stop chasing love and start becoming love itself. If this hit you hard, good. It was supposed to. These truths aren't comfortable, but they're necessary. And if you want to go deeper, subscribe now. Because this isn't just a channel. It's a brotherhood. A place where men sharpen each other. A place where we strip away illusions. A place where we build presence, power, and self-mastery. And next, we're going to step even further. The next series is called 10 Harsh Realities Men Must Face. Not about women, not about relationships, but about life itself. Money, status, brotherhood, discipline, legacy. If you thought today's truths were brutal, wait until you face those. So hit subscribe, join the journey, and remember, don't hand your power to anyone. Stay calm, stay dangerous, and never be replaceable again.